The Fall of the Berlin Wall, the night that shook the world. Date: November 9, 1989. Location: Berlin, Germany. Some events in world history are born not from great wars or major inventions, but from a convergence of the hope and courage of ordinary people, and an unexpected mistake. The fall of the Berlin Wall was such an event, a defining moment that signaled the end of the Cold War. Historical background: why did the wall exist? After World War II, Germany was divided into 4 zones and occupied by the Allied powers: the United States, Great Britain, France, and the Soviet Union. The capital city of Berlin, though located deep inside the Soviet zone, was similarly divided into 4 sectors. Over time, West Germany and West Berlin, controlled by the Western Allies, prospered under democracy and a market economy. In contrast, East Germany and East Berlin, under the control of the Soviet Union, faced economic hardship and restricted freedoms under communist rule. As a result, between 1949 and 1961, about 3.5 million East Germans fled to West Berlin in search of a better life. To halt this brain drain, the East German government, on the night of August 13, 1961, began constructing a concrete barrier that would divide the city in 2, the barrier that would become known as the Berlin Wall. The wall tore families apart, crushed hopes, and became the most potent physical symbol of the Iron Curtain. Hundreds who attempted to cross it paid with their lives. The unexpected fall. By late 1989, the influence of the Soviet Union was waning, and pro-democracy movements were gaining momentum across Eastern Europe. In East Germany, citizens were holding mass protests, demanding the right to travel freely. On November 9th of that year, an East German government official named Günter Schabowski held an international press conference. During the conference, he was tasked with announcing new, relaxed travel regulations for East German citizens. However, he had not been fully briefed on the details. An Italian journalist asked, "When will this regulation come into effect?" Schabowski, shuffling through his notes, uttered the words that would change history. "As far as I know, effective immediately, without delay." In reality, the regulations were meant to take effect the next day and required a formal application process. But Schabowski's words were broadcast on live television and spread like wildfire across East Berlin. To the wall. Hearing the news, thousands of East Berliners, filled with disbelieving hope, began to gather at the border crossings. The border guards were confused, having received no new orders. The crowds grew larger and larger, chanting, "Open the gate! Tore off!" At around 11:30 p.m., an officer at the Bornholmer Street checkpoint, facing an overwhelming and uncontrollable crowd, made a historic decision to prevent violence. He ordered the gates to be opened. At that moment, the people of a city divided for nearly 3 decades were reunited for the first time without restriction. The scenes that followed were incredibly emotional. Tears of joy, long-lost friends and families embracing, and utter jubilation. People climbed onto the wall, and using hammers and chisels, began to tear down the symbol of their oppression. The fall of the Berlin Wall not only paved the way for German reunification, but remains to this day a powerful global symbol of freedom and the triumph of the human spirit over division.